Welcome back to PoPolitickin.com, your home for self-help meets hip-hop. Right now, we're live on YouTube. Check me out on social media and the Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. 1212 and place to be with DJ Bonds and DJ Breeze. How y'all doing?
Peace, brother.
Peace.
Yeah, I would
appreciate it.
Yeah, I would say nice talking to y'all, man. I see y'all got a documentary coming out. It says Where We're From, the Rise of LA Underground Hip Hop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I want to get into that, but before that, I just kind of want to get more like about y'all background, you know, where y'all from and how y'all came together.
Can we see Bonds on there, or is he blacked out?
I'm here.
Oh, you're there? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I can't see now. I can see you, but you want to take that, Bonds, or?
Sure. So me and Breeze, we basically hooked up. Gosh, like 97-ish, something like that.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. I gotta tell this story real quick. Hopefully we got a little bit of time. So we was working at this place called Interviewing Service of America, where we would convince people to stay on the phone with us and do a survey about Danny Yogurt versus Yoplait Yogurt. And so it was all about the phone game and stuff, right? And I saw him, I knew he was a hip hop head. And I was
my God.
Mixtapes. I'm slinging mixtapes. I'm trying to sell him a mixtape. And he was like, well, I make beats and I need someone to come over and do cuts. So we clicked right away, and we did a lot of music basically together. You know what I mean? An opportunity presented itself where we were able to basically have a venue and kind of showcase.
We also
had
a lot of mutual homies. Shout out to the homies Cash and Tongue and Stefan, and these are all the homies that we used to roll to all the LA spots with. So we knew a lot of the same people too, but like he said, I'm the only child. I didn't have any brothers or sisters. So to have somebody who knew how to scratch, and I was like, man, just come over the crib, scratch over my beats. And he would come over and just do that all day. And I was just geeked to have somebody coming over doing that, because I had never seen it before. So that's how we originally linked. That was like maybe 96, 97, around there.
Y'all both from LA?
Born and raised.
Yeah.
Both of y'all? Like what part?
Well, mostly the Valley. I mean, San Fernando Valley, A18, Northridge. Was for me.
I was born in central Los Angeles, which is just the middle part of LA, like Koreatown, MacArthur Park is where I grew up. And then I moved to the Valley, where he's talking about the 818 area around high school. And that's around the time we met. So.
And how did y'all become fans of hip hop?
Oh, just always been fans of hip hop. The first time I ever heard anything was The Freaks Come Out at Night by Houdini. And when I first heard that, it was over. And so after that, it was just everything was hip hop. So by the time, I met him, he was already like he said, he was slanging mixtapes. So he was doing his thing already with hip hop. And I was getting into making beats. I wasn't even DJing at the time when I met him. But so we were already fans of hip hop. And this is, mid 90s. So it was a great time as well. And you had a lot of stuff going on in LA, which we cover in the film. So,
and what did you like about that Houdini song?
Man, for me as a kid, I had never heard a vocoder like that. With the effect on the voice, and I was like, "What is that?" And so as a kid, I thought it was just the coolest freaking thing I'd ever heard. When I heard that vocoder on the voice. But then when I saw the video, that's actually how I heard the song. I didn't hear the record. I saw the video. And when I saw the B-boys, that's when I was like, what is that? I was like, whatever that is, I want to get into. And then I just stopped doing everything and just started, I became a B-boy, just started breakdancing as a kid. And then it evolved into, beats and DJing and so forth. But yeah, it was that vocoder voice, the Freaks Come Out, that robot voice that I was like, what is that? And then just everything about the culture engulfed me,
What about you, Buns?
I mean, I had older cousins, 4 to 5 years older than me. So when I would go visit, I'm raised single father, only child. So my dad, to get his break, he would send me to grandma for the summer, right? So while I'm with grandma for the summer and I get to kick it with my cousins, they were like 4 or 5 years older than me. So I'm hearing Run DMC at like, 6 years old or whatever. But they knew I was like really into hip hop because I was always around their cassette tapes and breaking their turntables and stuff. Because back then you couldn't really, scratch on the turntable like that. I used to break their stuff. But they bought me LL Cool J, I'm Bad, Dana Dane with Fame, and Paid in Full. And that was Christmas '87, and I was 10 years old. And that's when I knew I really loved it because the way I gravitated to Pops, that Christmas morning, he was playing, he was trying to do sound check on LL Cool J, I'm Bad. And you hear the siren and I heard this in my sleep. I ran out to him. It's like Christmas morning. I jumped in his arms and it was just like a moment. I was like, that's probably the moment I knew how much I love hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Was that Christmas morning of '87. You know what I mean?
I think to add what he was saying, the tape thing was real important on the West Coast here. Because we got LL, we got the Dana Danes, we got the Run DMCs, but to get that real like stuff that New York was playing, unless you knew somebody, and we had a mutual friend who was from Jamaica, Queens, and he would go back to New York every summer, and then he would come back with all these like mixtapes and Stretch and Bobbito tapes, and he would play us like stuff we're not hearing on the West Coast. So that was like the tape thing was a real important for exposing East Coast hip hop to LA heads,
What does your shirt say, DJ Breeze?
Oh, this is actually a remix on a Gangstar shirt, but it says Elements instead. So
one of our Kickstarter only exclusive T-shirts. We had a couple of shirts made exclusive.
We actually don't even sell these. Yeah, we don't even sell these actually.
I was talking to Chrome Snatcher a little while ago. That's why I said it kind of looked like the Gangstar shirt, but I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it's a remix. They're definitely a huge influence. One of my favorite groups.
And then what's the meaning behind your names, DJ Breeze and DJ Bonds?
Mine's just my last name. My last name is Bonds, like straight up and down. That's just like my last name.
You related to Barry?
Yeah, he my uncle. He don't know it, but he owe a little money. You know what I'm saying? So so somehow, some way, we got to be related somehow.
I don't know too many Bonds though. When I think about it, I don't know too many though. Besides him and you now.
You know me. There it is.
What about you, DJ Breeze?
Breeze came out of my birth name, which is Fabrizio. It's an Italian name, and I'm not Italian, but the name is Italian. And I had a homie in junior high school who couldn't say my name for shit, and he said, "Oh, Breeze isn't your name, Fabrizio." So he just kept calling me Breeze over and over again. I didn't really like it, but the next thing I know, everybody was kind of picking up on it since nobody could say my name anyway. And then later on, everybody was like, "That's how you are in hip hop." They're like, "You're like this smooth, chill Breeze. Like even when you DJ or when you danced or when you're hanging out with him, like I don't really say much. I'm just pretty chill and laid back." So everybody, that's Breeze. He's just cool Breeze,
And then how did y'all come up with the idea of the documentary?
Bonds.
Yeah, so I had maybe about 10 years ago. I had all these VHS tapes in my closet of like past shows we did. And I was just like, I was looking at this footage, I don't know why I had a VHS tape and a VCR that I could play, but when I actually pressed play, I was like, dude, someone's gonna trip out on this footage right now. So how can I sell it? How can I make some money off of it? That kind of thing. Instant business mind, right? And I called Mark Love, who was kind of like a mentor, for me throughout my DJ career. And he was like, dude, I know who's going to know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with it right now, but Adrian Young, we got to go see Adrian Young at the shop. So I pick up Mark Love, drive down to see Adrian. And I'm pitching him like kind of like what's on the tapes and describing things. He keeps asking me questions and questions about the footage. And all these stories start pouring out of me. And he's like, bro, you don't sell this. You need a camera on you. You got to tell the story. And that's how it was born. I was like, you're right. I got to tell the story. So I immediately called Breeze and, got him down and then called my cousin Damon, who was the main person who kind of financed everything we did with the club back in the day. And then one of our main producers, David Massey, called him for some guidance about even where to begin, that kind of thing. And so, it started about, it was crazy. It started about 10 years ago. And then we didn't really start filming and doing stuff till like 2015. And then, we probably went pretty hard at it from 2015 to 2017. For about 2 years, we was like interviewing 1 to 2 nights a week almost. We did we did 100 interviews during this time.
So I was like, what is the story? Like, what's the story you're trying to tell?
I'll let Breeze take that.
It's a period piece. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going back to the roots of it. That's already been, covered over and over again. And the one thing that people bring up about the West Coast consistently, which is, and it's true, is always the gangster rap part about it. And it is something that, we're proud of. It is something that we love. We grew up on it, but it's not all that we're about. So the film just covers pretty much an important turning point in underground hip hop, particularly in LA, and how that came about. It's basically covering from about 98 to about 2001, Bonds. Yeah, I would say 2001, 2002. And it's a shift. It's a big shift in not only New York consistently being a powerhouse, it's sort of LA establishing itself, and then the independent label scene also establishing itself. We just happened to be the guys there who provided the stage for that whole movement at the time. And I don't want to give too much away, but that's pretty much what it's a period piece about LA underground hip hop from 98 to about 2002. And how it's not only influenced hip hop, but basically the world as it is. So that's what it's about. Yeah, Elements. I'm sorry. Elements, to answer your question first. Elements was a weekly that we did, but then the weekly turned into monthly bigger shows. And so it's also centering around that, what we did as promoters at the time. So
yeah, but we also pay homage to people who came before us, so
exactly.
When I met Breeze, who's a little bit older than me, old man, and other friends or co-friends who are a little older than me, they would get me into these places called the Good Life or the Unity. And, those had a big impact, on just seeing, what the culture looks like, physically in front of you and practicing the culture. So, in LA during that time, if someone came up to you and says where you're from, depending on what you said, could mean, you're about to get into a fight or something, right? You know what I mean? So whether you was getting hit up by gangs or getting fucked up by the cops, or there was always something going down in LA. But the way you dress, maybe because I was wearing, remember De La Soul, they used to had this video where dude was wearing an airplane propeller hat and like some bright neon clothes and just the Daisy Age kind of look or whatever, right? So you could tell I'm not a gangster dude, you know what I'm saying? So I would normally get a pass because I'm a dancer or whatever, or they could tell I could dance. But even then, like the cops would try to make me, if you were walking in a pack of 4 or 5 people in LA, they had this ordinance of like, you're automatically a gang just because you're walking together. And I had to like break dance and freestyle dance in order to make sure I didn't get, put into juvenile hall that day, so LA was really crazy during that time, like the early 90s. And then once by the time we got to our club, there was still like gang activity, but we needed a place where you could be safe, where you could hone your craft, where you could DJ, dance, be around other like-minded folks who, just love the culture,
Now I was gonna ask y'all, since you said you ended at 2001. So I'll say, so what's your opinion of the last 20 years of hip hop? As far as LA hip hop, not well, I don't know if y'all want to talk about hip hop in whole or you want to just talk about LA, is up to y'all.
Man,
we're probably gonna have different opinions on this. So I'll let you go first and then I'll go next.
I mean, it obviously, it's not what it was when, you've had so much even technological influence on music throughout the whole spectrum, whether it's DJing, making music, even the way we consume music now. And I would say Elements, when it was at the end, was basically the turning point of that era. So that was when you started to see the real beginning of that digital revolution where everything was started to being downloaded. So I still think hip hop as a culture, it's still there. There's still a lot of emphasis on beats. There's still a lot of emphasis on lyrics, on the culture. Even back then, as great as that era was, there was still whack shit back then. So there's always going to be whack shit to me. You know, I think just the whole spectrum of music has changed, which has obviously affected how we consume hip hop as well. So, but you still see a lot of people holding it down on both coasts. You know, the culture. I'm not really like a bitter old man where I'm like, this is, you know, I went through that maybe for a few months, and then I was like, you know what? There's still great music out there. There's still a lot of great artists, new artists. Like my son, he's about to be 18, and he puts me on constantly to cats I've never heard of, and I'm like, this is dope. Like, you know, I'm like, you're playing this, you know. So and I'm like, well, if it's new and it still gives me that same feeling as it did then I'm, you know, to answer your question, I'm sorry. I think it's still going good. You know, there's always going to be purists and people who are like, I don't know. But I think that's also just the way music has just changed across the whole spectrum, you know, and hip hop is just kind of going with it. So, but I think we're in good hands. I think we're in good hands.
I also point to the mirror at us a little bit. I think we're a little lazy, if you will, because back then we would ride a bike to like Tower Records to pick up, you know, a record or 12-inch. You would pay hard money to buy, you know, a CD at Sam Goody or wherever it was, whatever your outlet was back in the day. And now you can just click on a button or a phone or whatever. And even now, even though it's more accessible, you know, my playlist might be all 90s hip hop stuff, because when I'm in that drive for 15 minutes, I just want to reminisce on some good music that I love in my car. You know what I'm saying? I might not be totally wanting to check out the brand new artists. You know what I'm saying? I might just want to be going to my memory lane. So I think sometimes it's just the habits, you know, of at least my generation, you know what I'm saying, of trying to gravitate towards new things. But there's definitely new stuff out. I mean, I know there is, you know, from Premier got a radio show, B Junkies got a radio show, shout out to Eclipse, he got a radio show, Wake Up Show, Revolution. I mean, there's plenty of, you know what I'm saying, dope shows out there, and mainstream don't dictate nothing. And that was back then, right? So even now, we know that the mainstream is not what you're supposed to look for as far as, this is hip hop. You know, you look at the DJ, and you look at different gatekeepers who put you on. You know what I'm saying?
To add to that, I think it's important what he said is that the streets pretty much, even though you can buy a presence online, the streets still kind of dictate what is dope and what is not. You still hear about it from other people. Like, have you heard this yet? Have you heard this yet? And sometimes it doesn't matter what the buzz is online. If the streets don't talk, then we don't listen. Straight up. It really is like that, because you have people that have 1 million followers and can't get 20 people at their event. So we realize that. And we still notice, even in this digital era, if the streets aren't talking about you, then it's not even worth it. So, you know.
Yeah, I'll ask you, so what is, like, far as like, because we were saying, like, so what is y'all actual like definition of hip hop? Because it seems like it's a lot of cats, like, they're you know how everybody's singing now, so it's like yeah, it's kind of like turned to its own little thing now, because they singing more than they're rapping now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it takes elements of hip hop and it incorporates it. I wouldn't necessarily call it hip hop. Some people do that. I don't mind that it takes elements, but don't call it hip hop. I think hip hop has always been what it was, which is Cool Herc spinning the break back and forth with the DJ, and then you have an MC that is spitting some lyrics. It doesn't really matter to me if that beat is like a grimy LA or New York beat or a dope Southern beat. You know what I mean? Like, you have lyricists in the South, you have lyricists in the East Coast. So I think as long as it's beats and lyrics, to me that's always been hip hop, you know. But I do think the DJing needs to step up a bit more, you know.
Yeah, I had this one DJ on. He was saying like he only call it DJing when you're using like, you know, 2 turntables and you know, you scratching, you doing all that stuff yourself. He said all this new stuff he don't count it as DJing now, like the Serato and all that.
Yeah, see, I try not to get caught up in that.
Yeah, I would disagree with that.
Oh, yeah, see, I try not to get caught up in that old man purist vibe, because I know a lot of DJs like that as well, who didn't. I still know a DJ to this day, he won't touch it. You know what I'm saying? He won't touch it. He's strictly vinyl. And, you know, as dope as that is, I agree with Bonds. Like, I still think whether even now you have like this phase DJ, which you don't even use needles anymore, right? But the point is, he's still up there creating the feeling. You're still up there exchanging the energy between you and the crowd. And that's what DJing is to me. It's your tools can vary, you know what I'm saying? But the person is still creating that feeling. And to add on to that before Bonds jumps in, all this technology that we have, I think it's great because you still need skill to do it. Yeah. You still need skill. Like, you can be up there and you can play the playlist and you can blend them or whatever, but if you're not playing and creating that feeling and playing from your soul, people are going to pick up on that. Like, it's like dogs smelling fear. They will pick up on it. And so you still have to know what you're doing while you're up there. You can have all the technology in the world, and I notice you still have to be skilled no matter what. You know, whether they're playing beats on Ableton or using Serato, like if they hit play, you just know when you hear it. You just know, like, oh shit, it doesn't matter what you made it on. It's dope. You know, and DJing, I think, is the same thing. It doesn't matter whether you're using CDJs or phase or old school, as long as you're creating that feeling for the crowd, that's all that matters.
I agree with everything you said. Everything.
You know.
Yeah. So I said, as far as the documentary, y'all gonna do like a viewing party or anything? Like, how y'all plan to put it out?
Bonds, you want to take that? Things are up in the air right now.
Things are up in the air for LA. I know we're gonna do something with Hussle Day though. So on Saturday, September 4th, we'll go up to the Bay. And you know, we'll actually, you know, have a nice little Q&A up there with the good folks from the Hieroglyphics crew. So
you in the Oakland area, make sure you come down.
Yeah, so shout out to Dell and Tajay and all the homies who, you know, just got our back. You know what I'm saying? That's another
big up to Domino. Big up to Domino.
Domino, yeah.
Domino, man. Got our back so much, man. Big up to Domino.
And then what made y'all want to do like LA and not just California hip hop on a documentary?
I think because like I said earlier, every time they bring up LA, it's always like NWA or, you know, Compton's Most Wanted, above the law. And it's like, that's not all we're known for. And even though the Bay Area has that, like, you know, they had Too Short and they had E40, and the Bay Area has its own sound. It's never really, you like, if you hear LA hip hop and you hear Bay Area hip hop, there's definitely a difference. There's definitely a difference. And I don't know if it's just that more laid back up north attitude that they have, because they're really chill up there. You know, there's still a lot of a hippie scene up there, and it's always been sort of that feeling up there. They're definitely different up there, and they never really got known for gangster stuff like we did. You know, like, you know, the movie Colors, when Colors came out, it's basically talking about LA. It wasn't talking about the Bay Area, even though the Bay Area did have that stuff, and Oakland is one of the roughest places that you can go. You know what I'm saying? It was more about LA. And like I said, we were just kind of like, that's not all we're known for. You know, yeah, we're known for that, and that's a huge part of our culture, but that's not all we're about. We have some incredible lyricists out here like E-Rule and Micah 9 and you know, all, I can go on and on. You know, I'm drawing a blank right now, but that's just two names, you know, that come to mind. So that was the main thing. It's like, that's not all we're known for, you know.
I would say so. I know we got Kendrick, so you got Kendrick Lamar, but who would you say, like, have y'all seen any new cast from LA you think can carried it on? I know we
From
got kids doing it right now, but who you thinking
from LA? Oh man, I think Bonds might be able to answer that.
Yeah, no, I'm bad on it. I mean,
from LA in particular.
I know there's guys who could do it and carry the torch, and like I can hear Soren Baker right now. I remember I was talking to Soren Baker. He's like, you got this guy, you got that guy, you got this guy. He was naming all these people who are carrying the torch in his mind. And I was like, see, I'm that guy who doesn't research like I should. You know what I'm saying? So, so I know the culture's still going.
Shout out to my man, Pause One. He's definitely one you got to look out for.
Yeah,
Pause One, definitely.
Yeah.
Gotta look out for him.
Then did Nipsey Hussle his passing? Did it affect y'all any way?
It did. Yeah.
I mean, I'm my mom's from Ethiopia. My dad's black, so the whole East African thing. For me, and just someone who mirrored a little bit how I maybe grew up. You know what I'm saying? That just, I don't know, it's something about having some pride on that side, on the Ethiopian side. You got that whole "we are the world" record and a bunch of flies on our face, and you don't see images of positive images of Ethiopians for like a long fucking time, right? From "we are the world" to, I don't know, man, till someone wins a race. Like, you don't see positive images. I can't tell you how many fights I got into, you know what I'm saying, because of me being Ethiopian, my name, and how many times I had to scrap, you know what I mean? So like having someone as a dope ass rapper who's from basically, you know what I'm saying, the same region, there was a pride, you know what I'm saying? And so, and the way he carried himself and the way he's loved, you know what I'm saying? So
we were,
there's a pride there,
Yeah, no, we were all cheering for him. I remember we were all like, man, watch, this dude is about to climb it. And I remember, and like we were saying earlier, it's part of this culture. We're even if you're not in a gang and you're from LA, you're one in some form or another. You are gang affiliated, whether it's your cousin who's in a gang, or your brother, or your uncle who just got out and he's coming to stay with y'all until he gets off parole. Everybody was gang affiliate if you're from LA, to a certain extent, if you're black and brown. So like I said, we even though like if you're out here and you listen to underground, you don't just listen to underground hip hop, like that's obviously our thing here, but we listen to everything. So even gangster rap, there's a lot of dope gangster rap. We're like, yo, I might not relate to everything that you're saying, but it's still dope. And Nipsey was, if anything, he was a great musician. He was, he picked great music, and he was a lyricist, and he was talking about things that were extremely relevant. So yeah, we were all cheering for him, and we always like to see good people do great, especially from our neck of the woods. So we were, even though I wasn't a huge fan, I would listen to his music every now and then. I was very sad by the news of his passing. I remember the day very clearly. I was here in the lab, and we started getting text messages saying he got shot, and I'm thinking like, oh, he's gonna be fine. And when he died, I was like, wow, And so I went to go see his memorial. It was a beautiful memorial that they had set up in front of his shop. I got some great pictures of it and took my son, and you could feel the sadness when you went there from everybody. And you had a lot of, people that weren't from that neighborhood visiting the memorial as well. You can feel their sadness as well. So yeah, we were bummed out, man, when that dude got killed.
So what are some of y'all interests outside of music?
Well, filmmaking. Filmmaking. We've actually, Bonds put it perfectly. This has really woken up a passion in us. We're enjoying this film thing. But I love photography as well. Photography has become sort of a big outlet for me. So it's always something, whether it's making beats, photography, DJing, and now we're, into making films. There's a lot of things that we didn't get to put in the film that Bonds and I wish we did, that just didn't really fit in the context of the story or in the rhythm of the film. So look for future work, maybe a series or something. We'll see what we do. But there's a lot of the footage that we didn't get to use. I expect that to come out as well.
Okay.
What about you, Bon?
For me, I always had a leg in education. So pretty much right after I left that job, trying to convince people to stay on the phone with me to do a survey on yogurt, the one that we were at, I got a better job at juvenile hall teaching kids like fractions and, stuff like that. So I worked in like juvenile court school systems, probation schools and stuff like that from like 96 to about 2002 or so. And then I just kept going, like higher education and things like that. So even right now, I work for a nonprofit based in education. You know what I mean? So I've always had one leg in music and then one, you know what I'm saying, in education, music and education. But I think now, doing a documentary was like one step. And now in my mind, I'm like, oh, I can actually do this, right? Like I never directed, ever before. But now it's in my mind, so whether it's movies or TV shows, or all these things in my head that I kind of want to put out there, you know what I'm saying? And because I know tomorrow's not promised, I got to do it. Like, I got to do it. You know what I'm saying? So, I take those little steps and I have like multiple different things going on, but I'll wait till it's like actually, a little bit more out there before I speak too much on it. But I'm definitely inspired by what has happened over the last 10 years out of that, just finding those tapes in the freaking closet,
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So
I said, so what advice would you give to somebody if they wanted to, as far as creating a documentary?
You know what? Just start. I mean, it doesn't really matter what it is, whether it's your music, whether it's your film, just stop talking about it and start doing it. Because I can't tell you how many people I know that have just continuously talk about doing their thing, and you blink and 10, 20 years go by. So that's what I loved working with Bonds is he didn't really want to wait. He was just like, let's just do some test shots and we'll see what happens. And in my head, I'm like, I knew these weren't we're starting, and we didn't know what we were doing, but we were starting anyway. And that's what I liked about him. And so that taught me a lot too. It just if you have a dream, just start doing it. Don't think about it anymore. Just start doing it, whatever it is. And the rest will kind of fall into place if you really are, serious about it.
Yeah, and the other side is having an end date. Like for a doc, I come to find out you could be working on a doc for the rest of your life because you're always thinking about a better way to tell the story. And I missed this, and what about this? And at some point, you just gotta like, nah, it's coming out, And so, shout out to Tad Nakamura, who was that guy that gave me that piece of advice. Like, yo, man, he was like, this one doc, I scheduled a screening and and I was editing to the night before, and whatever they got, that's what they got, And then he's like, man, I got awards for it and everything else, but just gotta do it, man. Some Nike stuff, just do it.
Yeah,
it's very. Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, it's very important what he's saying because the ability to walk away from the project is huge. It is because you can always make it better. Yeah. You can always make it better, but you know what? Is it dope right now? Yeah, it is.
Even right now, I cringe at certain parts. I'm like, man, we could have done that better. Like, what are we doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Even right now, I watch it right now. I'm like, we could have done better.
Don't get caught up in that. It's very easy to, as an artist, even with music or filmmaking, it doesn't matter what it is. It's dope. It's good enough. Put it out. And so
yeah. Yeah, you don't want too many projects be what's that name? Detox. Yeah, you don't want too many.
Exactly.
Not everything could be detox. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta put something out. You gotta do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. And what would y'all like to say to y'all fans and supporters?
Oh man. Well, first of all, I want to send a huge thank you, shout out to all the Kickstarter people. Not only did they help us get this project going, but they have been extremely patient with us. And don't worry, your prizes are coming. They're coming. But just everybody who's believed in us, everybody who's in the film. I was really surprised at how they opened up their homes, and they were just very So, because a lot of these guys never got to talk about what they did, and so everybody was very opening, very welcoming. And before I get out, I always do this big shout out to our team, David Massey, Kat Carrito, Mike Richter, Raji, Robin, who's an amazing assistant editor as well. I think I said David Massey. Yeah, there we have, Bonds and I are the face of it, but we have an incredible team behind us. And to add on to your question earlier, to anybody who's going to do their dream, make sure you have a good team who is as dedicated as you, who believes in the project as much as you, because this team really believed in us and what we were doing, and we wouldn't be here without them. That's for sure. So big ups to the team.
And one person I would say who I probably we need to start saying his name even more is DJ Revolution.
Oh yeah. Big up to Rev.
Right there, man. So
Rev saved us, man. Rev saved us.
Saved us. So what I mean by that is, I had an idea of all these like tracks that were going to get cleared, and all this music that was going to get cleared, and man, some of the quotes that came back on some samples and stuff. It was like it would have been like a $1 million like music thing. So anyway, so I hired Revolution to make all the music as we did the interview, so the bed music or whatever, and it came out incredible. He made over 60 tracks for us for the documentary.
He scored the whole film. He scored the
whole thing,
mm-hmm.
and a lot of it's dope enough to put out. Like I have MC Spit on, which we do have a single dropping soon. So Planet Asia is coming out, with DJ Revolution. The song is called Elements, and it talks about the time period that we document in our film, and that should be out either this Friday or next Friday. I'm still working on my details with Apple Music and Spotify and everybody else, but either this Friday or next Friday.
All right, I want to say thanks for coming through politicking with me.
No, man, thank you, man. Really, really appreciate it.
Again, really the doc will be out next week, so it'll be out August 24th. And
that's a Tuesday.
They go to
Tuesday, August 24th.
Yeah.
Where is it gonna be at?
It'll be on Apple Music or Apple TV. So that you could go to elementsdoc.com and you can get updates there, or go to our IG. Our IG actually has a link in the bio. So if you go to Elements DOC, again, on Instagram, Elements DOC on our Instagram, there's a link in the bio to actually watch the trailer, and if you want to pre-order and support us, if you like what you're hearing, it's right there. I
believe all other digital platforms will be coming to closer to really closer to release, like Google Play and Amazon also.
And what's your social media again?
Mine is DJ Breeze. At Instagram is just DJ and then Breeze.
Right, and then mine is at DJ Bonds 007 for my personal, and then for the film, Elements DOC.
All right, y'all. We out. Till tomorrow.